He's not confused anymore. There was a time he'd ask, "What did I do wrong? What does she need from me? How do I keep her happy?" But now, he asks a different question. What is she bringing to a life I've already built? Because after years of giving, showing up, sacrificing, apologizing, compromising, he's finally choosing peace over performance. This isn't bitterness. It's clarity. It's not fear. It's wisdom earned in silence. So let's break down 18 real reasons why so many men over 50, and especially over 60, are quietly walking away from relationships that take more than they give. If you've ever sat in the dark and thought, "I'm not lonely, I'm just done," leave a quiet comment below. I stopped chasing what broke me. 1. Divorce didn't just hurt, it broke him. He didn't walk away from that marriage he crawled. It wasn't just papers and signatures. It was years, poured into a house that no longer felt like home. It was his name echoing through a courtroom like a stranger. It was showing up, day after day, as a husband, a father, a provider, only to be told, in the end, that it wasn't enough. He didn't just lose a partner. He lost weekends with his children. He lost his rhythm, his routines. Sometimes, he even lost the belief that love was real. And the system, it didn't catch him. It punished him. Half the retirement, full custody battles, friends who disappeared because divorce made them uncomfortable. So now, when people ask why he stays single, they think it's because he's bitter. They don't see the man who rebuilt his life from the ashes. They don't see the quiet moments where he breathes easier alone. Because being alone doesn't hurt anymore. What hurts is the memory of giving everything and still being left standing in an empty room. And that's not something he risks twice. 2. He's not chasing wives, he's avoiding performers. He used to believe the early kindness was real. The laughter, the softness, the small touches in the kitchen. She said all the right things, did all the right gestures. And then, the shift. After the vows, the warmth cooled. The support turned to control. The affection became currency. He wasn't angry, he was confused. Where did she go? He wondered. The woman he married vanished, replaced by someone who kept score, who punished silence with distance, who no longer wanted to be his partner, only his judge. It wasn't one event. It was 1,000 small withdrawals of love, until the account ran dry. Now, he sees the red flags early. He knows that sweetness can be strategy, that agreeable can be temporary. He doesn't fall for the curated version. He watches how she handles no, how she behaves when she's not center stage. He listens for the silence beneath the compliments. He's not jaded. He's precise. Because he doesn't need another actress. He needs someone real, or no one at all. 3. Peace isn't a luxury anymore. It's a requirement. There was a time he thought chaos was just part of love. The late-night arguments, the mood swings, the cold shoulders followed by warm apologies. He mistook that cycle for passion. Now, he understands the price of unrest. He's built a home that breathes, a space where he wakes without anxiety, where no one slams doors, where silence doesn't mean punishment, it means presence. Peace isn't the absence of someone, it's the presence of self. He doesn't need to decode feelings every morning. He doesn't miss sleeping beside someone who won't speak during the day. He doesn't long for the performance of love, he longs for alignment. And if that can't be found, he chooses solitude. Because now, when he lights a candle, it's for himself. When he sits with his coffee, it's not interrupted by criticism or comparison. Just stillness, just breath. After years of proving, explaining, and apologizing for things he didn't do wrong, he's not looking for someone to complete his life. He's protecting the life he finally completed. 4. He's tired of the bait and switch. He's been through it more than once, the performance phase. The first few months when everything feels warm, playful, effortless, where she seems open, affectionate, agreeable, until the mask slips. It starts subtle, the tone changes, the listening becomes criticism, the curiosity turns into control, and suddenly, the same woman who once laughed at his stories now rolls her eyes mid-sentence. He used to question himself. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I wasn't consistent enough. Maybe I changed. But over time, he stopped blaming himself and started noticing the pattern. He realized some people present their best selves just long enough to get what they want. Then the negotiation starts. The real person arrives, and she's not here to build, she's here to manage. So now, he doesn't ignore that shift. If someone's affection comes with conditions, if the early warmth disappears the moment commitment begins, he walks, not out of fear, but because his heart has already seen what it looks like when love turns into leverage. He won't audition again for a role that ends in resentment. 5. He feels like who he is isn't welcome anymore. He grew up with values that used to mean something. Protect, provide, lead with quiet strength. He took pride in being a man who could be counted on, someone who showed up, paid the bills, held the line. But somewhere along the way, the world changed, and not always for the better. Now, when he leads, he's called controlling. When he's firm, they say he's emotionally unavailable. When he's structured, it's labeled rigid. Masculinity has become something to apologize for. And yet, he's still expected to provide, still expected to listen, support, protect. But his needs, his perspective, his way of doing things, too often dismissed as old-fashioned. He's not angry. He's just tired. Tired of entering relationships where his instincts are questioned, his intentions misread, and his quiet strength mistaken for ego. He won't defend who he is anymore. He won't contort to fit into a space that rejects the very foundation he stands on. If he's not welcome as he is, he simply won't enter. 6. He's looking for a teammate, not a rival. He's fought enough battles out there. In boardrooms, on job sites, in life. He doesn't want to come home and fight for basic respect, for decision-making, for emotional space. He's not looking for someone to challenge him at every turn. He's looking for rhythm, shared goals, quiet support. A woman who believes leadership is not dominance, but responsibility. But too often, he finds himself in relationships where every step forward becomes a debate, where suggestions are met with suspicion, where asking for peace sounds like control. He doesn't want another competitor. He wants a co-creator. He doesn't mind strong women, in fact. He admires them. But not when strength is used as a weapon inside the home. Not when partnership becomes a scoreboard. He wants to lead gently, to listen deeply, to build with someone who understands that strength and softness aren't opposites, they're complements. And if he doesn't find that, he'll keep building alone. Because peace isn't found in constant conflict, it's found in shared purpose. 7. He's done with one-sided relationships. He used to believe that love meant selflessness, so he gave everything. His time, his energy, his patience, his money. He worked late, came home early, carried burdens silently. Happy wife, happy life, they said. So he swallowed his truth, smiled through tension, said yes when he wanted to say, I'm tired, but it didn't bring peace. It brought him balance. He noticed how his needs became negotiable, optional, while hers were sacred. He became the background music to her life, always there, but never heard. He wasn't asking for worship, just partnership, just someone who checked in, who cared when he was quiet, who didn't see his presence as a given or his loyalty as a debt. Eventually he realized he wasn't loved for who he was, but for how well he performed. So now, he's done performing, done begging for mutual effort, done showing up for people who only notice when he's gone. He doesn't want applause. He wants reciprocity. And if he doesn't get it, he'll walk away without noise, without anger. Just done. 8. He finally sees his own worth. Something shifts after 50. Maybe it's age, maybe it's scars. Maybe it's waking up one morning and realizing, I've spent decades building a life, and I don't need to audition to share it. He used to chase love, tried to fit into people's expectations, changed his tone, his style, even his dreams just to be chosen. But not anymore. Now, he walks into rooms with quiet certainty. He doesn't demand attention, but he commands presence by simply being whole. He's not impressed by attention. He's impressed by alignment. He doesn't crave to be wanted. He chooses where to invest, and that changes everything. He doesn't over-explain. He doesn't shrink to make someone else feel taller. He doesn't beg to be seen, because now he sees himself. And once a man knows his worth, he stops giving discounts to people who only want the surface. Now he protects his energy like currency, not out of pride, but out of deep respect for everything it took to build this version of himself. 9. He's seeking purpose, not just a pretty face. She's beautiful, maybe breathtaking, but he doesn't flinch. Not because he can't see beauty, but because he's learned what often hides behind it. He's dated the charming ones, the stylish ones, the ones who knew how to make entrances, but not how to stay through storms. Now, he's not looking for spark, he's looking for structure, for depth, alignment, shared values. He doesn't want to conquer someone. He wants to build with someone. Someone who sees life as more than vacations and appearances. Someone who understands peace isn't found in Instagram-worthy moments, but in quiet, consistent presence. He seeks a woman who asks big questions, who knows her flaws and owns them, who doesn't need saving and doesn't try to fix him either, because at this stage, he's not chasing lust. He's chasing legacy, and pretty fades. But purpose? That's what stays when the fire turns to embers. and two people still choose to sit beside each other in the quiet. 10. If she doesn't meet his standards, he stays alone. He's not lonely, he's selective. There was a time when he'd make room for almost anyone. A time when the fear of being alone was louder than his standards. But that season's over. Now, he doesn't invite people into his life just to fill silence. He's not interested in surface conversation or temporary attention. He's not impressed by looks, titles, or charm. What matters now is peace. Emotional maturity. A woman who brings clarity, not confusion. Kindness, not chaos. And if that's too much to ask, he asks nothing, because the silence he used to fear has become sanctuary. He's rearranged his space, his time, and his mind around solitude, and it finally feels like home. So no, he won't explain why he's still single. He won't lower his standards to meet someone halfway who isn't even walking his direction. He'd rather protect his peace in quiet than lose himself in noise that calls itself connection. 11. He's found more peace alone than he ever did in love. Love once felt like a battle, not the kind worth fighting, the kind that left bruises, arguments over nothing, being blamed for her bad day, silent treatments that lasted for days, a house full of tension that no one dared speak of. He thought that was normal. He thought love was supposed to hurt a little, until he finally stepped away, and the stillness spoke. No more decoding moods, no more sleeping with one ear open, no more performing. Now, he wakes up when he wants, reads a book without interruption, listens to music that doesn't get judged. His life might look quiet, even lonely from the outside, but inside, it's finally balanced, finally honest. And once a man experiences that kind of peace, not silence filled with sadness, but stillness filled with safety, he stops looking for someone to complete him, because he realizes he was never missing anything. He was just surrounded by the wrong kind of noise. 12. He's gained the wisdom to wait or walk away. He doesn't rush anymore. Not into relationships, not into proving himself, not into anything that smells like pressure. He watches, he listens, he observes how she speaks to the waiter, how she handles frustration, how she responds to his silence. Because experience taught him something simple: character reveals itself in stillness. In his younger years, he ignored the red flags, told himself he was being too critical, gave second, third, and fourth chances, until those chances buried his peace. Now, he's different. He'll walk away at the first sign of emotional games. He'll stay single before staying confused. He'll take the longer road, if it means fewer regrets. Because wisdom isn't just knowing what you want, it's knowing what you won't tolerate ever again. And this time around, his boundaries are no longer negotiable, not because he's cold, but because he's finally learned how to stay warm without burning himself for someone else. 13. He's done performing. He used to rehearse every word, picked the right clothes, said the right things, smiled when he was tired, complimented when he didn't feel seen. He played the part not out of manipulation, but out of hope. Hope that being Mr. Reliable would make him feel wanted. But now, he doesn't play roles. He lives real. He no longer walks into a relationship hoping to earn love like a paycheck. No longer bends just to make someone stay. He's not selling an image, he's offering truth. If he's quiet, it's not a signal to decode. If he leads, it's not ego, it's clarity. If he needs space, it's not rejection, it's self-respect. The performance days are over. He's not auditioning for a place in someone else's script. He's writing his own. And if someone wants to join, they come as they are, not as who they think he wants. Because real love doesn't require makeup, masks, or monologues. It just asks for presence. 14. The dating world feels shallow now. It's not that he's afraid of dating. He's just uninspired by it. Profiles that read like resumes. Selfies layered in filters. Text messages that say nothing, but take up space. He misses real conversation. The kind where people say what they mean and mean what they say. He's not chasing butterflies anymore. He's looking for roots. But the modern dating world feels built for performance. Who can seem more fun? More mysterious? More put together? He's tired of curated versions, of dinner dates that feel like interviews, of small talk that never gets deeper. And it's not bitterness, it's exhaustion. From surface-level energy exchanges that never touch soul. He doesn't want to impress. He wants to connect, not through perfect photos, but imperfect truth. Because at this stage, he doesn't need attention. He needs authenticity. And if that's rare, then he'll wait. Because empty affection is lonelier than no affection at all. 15. When intimacy fades, it's not just age, it's warning. He's not ashamed of slowing down. He understands that aging changes the body, but it shouldn't numb the heart. So when he stopped craving closeness, he didn't just shrug, he listened. Because intimacy, true intimacy, isn't just about physical touch. It's about emotional access, presence, bonding without speaking. When that faded, he knew something deeper was happening. Sometimes withdrawal feels like peace, but it's actually protection. The body hides, the soul retreats, and while solitude can soothe, it can also silence. So now, he's honest with himself. He checks in, asks the hard questions. Am I healing or hiding? Because the absence of intimacy isn't always maturity. Sometimes it's grief, sometimes it's unspoken wounds that never got air. And he knows, healing requires more than time. It requires courage, to feel again, to trust again, not with just anyone, but with someone safe enough to hold the quiet parts. 16. Freedom without responsibility isn't growth. He's seen it before. Men bragging about freedom, but living in quiet avoidance. They say they're independent, but they're running from the weight of showing up for anyone but themselves, skipping the hard work of emotional maturity, calling it peace. But not him. His singleness isn't a shield, it's a stand. He's not avoiding responsibility. He just doesn't outsource his leadership anymore. He doesn't need to lead a household to be a man. He leads in how he treats people, in how he manages his time, his values, his silence, in how he chooses truth over convenience. Because true freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's knowing exactly why you choose what you do, and being accountable for the outcome. He's not here to escape. He's here to evolve. And evolution doesn't always look like marriage. Sometimes, it looks like rebuilding your inner life brick by brick, without applause. 17. He's afraid to open again because he's still bleeding. People assume he's closed off, but the truth is harder. He's still wounded. He's not broken. He's not bitter. But behind the calm eyes is a man who gave everything once, and watched it unravel without warning. There are moments when connection tempts him, a warm laugh, a hand brushing his, hope flickers. But then comes the fear. Will she understand his silences? Will she misread his stillness? Will she take his truth and use it against him later? So he hesitates, not because he doesn't want love, but because the cost of betrayal is something he's not sure he could pay twice. He doesn't need fixing. He needs space, to breathe, to feel without judgment, to be witnessed, not managed. And most of all, he needs trust that feels earned, not assumed. Because healing doesn't come from distraction. It comes from being met where you are, with patience, not pressure. 18. Some men are just, done leading for others. He was the strong one, the planner, the protector, the one who carried the emotional weight while saying, I'm fine. He led through storms, paid bills in silence, and held everyone together while slowly unraveling himself. And for what? Often for people who never saw the weight, who mistook his steadiness for simplicity, who leaned on his strength, but never checked if he was tired. So now, he leads himself, not to prove anything, not to be admired, but to stay whole. He wakes when he wants, walks where his soul feels clear, decides who to let in, and when to close the door gently for good. This isn't withdrawal, it's sovereignty. He's not retiring from life, he's reclaiming it. He's not leading less. He's just stopped doing it for people who never offered to walk beside him. And in that quiet choice, he found a version of peace that applause never gave him. He's not anti-love. He just refuses to lose himself. Again. Because once a man learns the cost of performance, chaos, compromise, and emotional neglect, he doesn't become cold, he becomes clear. And clarity? That's the real freedom. If this spoke to you, if you're choosing yourself, if you're guarding peace like treasure, leave a quiet comment below. I didn't walk away from love. I walked toward peace.